Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you're looking for jewelry that makes an impact on your self-care routine and your style, Empowerography would love to offer you a discount code to one of our exclusive partners, Quartz & Canary Jewelry and Wellness Company. Please use code EMPOWER15 to receive 15% off upon checkout at www.quartzandcanary.com. Quartz & Canary is truly the place where spirituality meets style. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Amy Dawns. She is an intuitive artist, healer, and author based in Regina, Saskatchewan. How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm great, Brad. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Thanks for agreeing to be part of the community and share your story and journey with us here on the podcast today. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So, Amy, you are an intuitive artist, a healer, a spiritual mentor, and a speaker as well. Can you tell us a bit about who you are and what you do as a healer, mentor, and speaker?
Yeah, for sure. So I reside in Regina, Saskatchewan, obviously, as you mentioned, and I guess you could wrap all of those up into the umbrella of self-development and really taking a deep dive into myself and going on this spiritual journey that so often we all get called to eventually at some point in our life. So I was led to that through a conscious-based energy medicine called Body Talk. And that's where I discovered that I was capable of really diving deep into people's bodies, minds, and emotions and helping them heal. And I've just always been an intuitive, so those two things combined just really pair well together. And that opened me up to painting. I was never a painter, had no desire to be an artist other than writing. I've loved writing my whole life. And as soon as I started going down this path, I discovered all these hidden gems within me. So I also paint intuitively as well.
Very cool. How long have you been an intuitive healer and mentor?
Almost 12 years now.
Okay. Now, how did you discover you had these gifts of healing?
Like I said, it really happened when I dove into what's called Body Talk, which is conscious-based energy medicine. And I started to discover that everything within us is connected, like our physical, our mind, our emotions, our mental thoughts, they're just all connected. They're not really separate from one another. And once I learned that system, it started highlighting all of these gifts that I had within me and continues to do so to this day.
That's amazing. Now, how does you being an intuitive factor into or inspire your artwork?
That's the inspiration for it all, really. I meet a blank canvas, like there's unlimited possibility for the unknown to reveal itself truly. I don't receive a vision in my head and then put it on a canvas. It kind of works the other way around, where I just embrace it through intuition and feeling and allow the art or whatever is supposed to come through reveal itself. And it's such a neat process because I paint with acrylics. So there's lots of layers, which I think represents the complexity even of being human. And I'll come back to a painting and see an image starting to form. And then if I feel drawn to like bringing that to life, I will, or if I won't, I'll just cover it up and continue going. It's a really unique process.
How did you stumble onto or discover your painting ability? Like, did you just start painting? Like something you felt the need to throw something up on a canvas, or what happened?
It was actually such a strong calling within me that it pulled me out of bed one morning and over to my friend's house who had just some dollar store paints and canvases, and she handed them to me. Like I couldn't ignore it. That's how strong the pull was to start painting. Yeah. And so I did. And I think like anybody else maybe starting on a path like this, I really wanted to paint something tangible like a tree. So I efforted really, really a lot at the beginning, and the tree I painted didn't look very good.
Because you were trying, do you think that's because you were trying too hard, like forcing it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was truly efforting. But what that led me to doing was just to completely let go and approach it like I would when I was a kid. So I kept open to being curious and very playful. And I would take whatever I could find in my house. Like very often I would use spatulas or caps from milk cartons or wine corks when I used to drink wine. And I would just start playing. Yeah. And it was so freeing and so therapeutic at the same time. And then I started to discover that without effort and more just feeling the flow and the direction of where the paint was taking me, that's when I really started to discover that there was something really, truly hidden within me and the way I paint.
That's amazing. Just totally organic. I don't think that, I mean, as artists, we can't force that creativity to happen. It just has to flow. You just have to be in that zone. You can't force it or you can't push it because, like, as you said, when you first started, you tried to paint a tree and you were trying and it just didn't come out the way you had envisioned it or pictured it or the way it should. You just can't force creativity.
No, you have to meet it so vulnerably and almost like leave yourself behind and just be open to receiving. I think receiving is a huge word when it comes to creativity.
For sure. Yeah. Just be in that moment. Just let it engulf you.
Yes, absolutely.
So what does a spiritual mentor do, Amy?
It's kind of the bridge between the healing gifts that I bring and all of my education in conscious energy healing, and then my intuitiveness and my own growth and my own wisdom that I learned from being able to meet myself through self-love. If I could wrap it into one word, it's self-love. And I know that self-love is so talked about nowadays, but it really was and still is my journey about how radically and transparently I can meet myself exactly where I am as I am for whatever I'm experiencing in life.
Now, speaking of self-love and that whole journey, I mean, I believe that everything, the foundation for everything starts within us with self-love. But do you think that, as you had mentioned, that self-love is such a big popular thing right now, do you think that the media has had a hand in blowing that up to a point where it kind of, I don't want to say loses its meaning, but loses its effect in terms of it's a cool buzzword or it's a cool catchphrase. It's the in thing to talk about or the in thing to say right now in these days and times.
Yeah, I think everything ends up getting to that point eventually, within the social stream and the media. And however, even from that perspective, still within that, when you're on that journey or you're being called to that journey, even if you're not consciously aware of it, you will still be led to that thing that you need to hear or that person that you resonate with. Even within that spectrum, I still believe it comes down to perspective, absolutely. And we can really impose any meaning on anything that we choose to. And that's what it will mean for us. So I do know that there are authentic people who have done like the inner work with self-love, who are out there amongst all the media and the people that do make it, it sounds nice and fuzzy, but it's not always nice and fuzzy.
That's exactly it. It's a nice fuzzy word to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is part of the problem, is that people don't want to go inside and do the self work. It's a lot of people don't like what they see looking back at them in the mirror, and they don't want to go deep because of fear for what they'll find within, but you have to put in the work, and it does take a lot of self work for sure.
Yeah, it sure does. And you mentioned the mirror, and really what I find interesting about that work is everything outside of us is a mirror anyways. But when we take the time to really be still with that mirror, even mirror work I still swear by mirror work to this day. It's one of the most potent gifts that we could give ourselves is sitting in front of the mirror and having a dialogue or just eye gazing. It's so incredible when we give ourselves time to be still with what is actually inside of us and what we are seeing and how we are seeing it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is sitting with yourself, being able to be alone with yourself. There's a lot of people who also don't like being alone. Yeah. I don't know whether that's they don't like their own company or it's uncomfortable to be alone. They need someone around all the time, but you have to, that's where it starts. You have to learn to love your own company and enjoy your own company.
Yeah, I swear by that too, Brad. Absolutely.
I was reading that you've been through some pretty traumatic experiences in your life. Can you talk a bit about that and how these have helped shape who you are as a woman today, and as well as how you pull from those experiences to help your clients that you're working with?
Yes. So like a lot of women and men too, I went through a lot of childhood trauma that included some sexual trauma and abandonment. I think we all have abandonment issues at our core if we really dive into our inner child. And that really propelled me and pushed me forward in life because I grew up not loving myself and I had a really low sense of self-worth and I did not have a healthy body image or self-image. And I believed I was my body as well. So if I didn't like what I was looking at, well, that was my whole self-worth just basically thrown down the drain. And after having my son, he was the catalyst for me really bringing me fully and radically into my body where I had to feel and experience all this pain that I had been trying to run away and suppress and avoid for such a long time. That I think that's how life works. You eventually choose it, but life can also force you into situations where you're supposed to grow. It's time. Like it's just time to step forward and move away from the old paradigm and the old conditioning of what we're supposed to be living and what that looks like for us. And I was all in. I think that's a strength of mine is when I choose to do something, I decide to do it 111%. And so I've been through a lot. And I use that. I mean, I own my story now. And I think when you get to the place where you own your story, you can help inspire anybody that comes across your path. So I can really meet people where they are because I've learned to meet myself where I am with my clients, and empathy and compassion is probably the two things that have developed in me fundamentally through my own healing experience and then helping others. Because when you pull back all the masks and all the veils, we are so much more alike than we are different. We all have we might have different stories, but we have the same doubts. We have the same fears. We have the same insecurities. You know, when it really comes down to it, we want to all be loved, appreciated, accepted. We need affection to a certain point, even those people that, you know, who have been sexually molested or raped or abused, who are afraid of it. Mm-hmm. And it's because they actually want it and desire it deep down, but just don't feel safe.
Yeah. I read that self-love has become a way of living for you. How did your journey into self-love begin? Where did that start for you? How long ago did you come to the realization that, hey, you know what? I have to tweak my state of mind, my way of thinking on this and about me?
Yeah, it really was probably the second year when my son was between 1 and 2, and I did come across Body Talk, and I started to understand how my inner dialogue and my behaviors about life and my perspectives about life, like when I started to gain self-awareness is when I started to become aware that I didn't love myself. Mm-hmm. So that was really the beginning of my self-love journey. And since then, like I said, it's a continually daily discovery, and I'm always learning about myself.
Yeah, it's a constant work in progress for everybody. As you said, we're all the same. We all want the same things when it really comes down to it. We're all the same. Again, like you said, we all have our different stories and journeys that we've been on or that we're going on or that we are on, but basically we're all the same.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
Now, again, seemingly in the media, self-love, women's empowerment, body positivity. Again, the same theme comes up for me when I think about it is these are cool buzzwords. And again, I think the media has had a hand in creating this narrative and made it cool to use them. Like it's the in thing. What are your thoughts on that whole movement of self-love and women's empowerment and body positivity?
You know what? I always look at the positive, but when you said that, I was like, it's so great though, if that's what draws people in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? If that's what it takes to get somebody in the door, great. But to actually do the work, the self-love, the empowerment, it takes a level of guts and courage and real transparency and vulnerability, which is something that I believe we've all learned in some way to steer away from because we believe it's weak. You know, when we come across and really stare our fears and our flaws and our imperfections in the face, we identify with them as being the weakest parts of us. So we don't want to go there. We don't want to look at that stuff, right? But that's that's an aspect of self-love, is really loving every single aspect of you.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But again, that goes back to what we were talking about before, is that people don't want to go look within to do the work because they're scared of what they see or they don't like what they see. And again, this is the foundation for absolutely everything in life. It all starts with you. You are the foundation.
Yeah. And I also think, like, if anybody is listening right now, and I'm sure lots of people listen that are already on this journey, but what I find for people who haven't gone into that space of sitting with themselves because they are afraid, it's actually because they don't know what or how to do it, or what to do when they're sitting with those uncomfortable feelings. I've come across a lot of people who just are afraid because they don't know. And that's probably actually the key to sitting with yourself and starting a self-love journey, is embracing the unknown. For sure. And because life really is all about the unknown anyway.
Absolutely. Of course. It's all part of the journey, though. I think that is the exciting part of our journey through life, is the unknown. You don't know what you're going to get. And that's part of the journey. That's how we are shaped as people too. These experiences that we come across and we get into through the journey of life. Yeah.
And I also wanted to add to that, I invite everybody to go inwards. It honestly is the shortcut. We think it's not, but it is. And it's the shortcut because once we discover something that scares us, or we might consider darkness, that really is the opportunity for the light then to rise up and meet it, and to really meet the bliss and the joy and the peace that has always been there and is deep within us as well. So I always say, the deeper I go, the deeper I go. And that means into any aspect of me. If I go deep into, like, let's say a fear or belief system that I'm not worthy, the equal has to match that. I also end up influencing that part of me and letting that surface and rise within me as well.
Yeah. Well, what do they say? You can't have light without the darkness. You can't have joy without the pain. It's all part, it's contrast, right? You need those to know and appreciate the good. You need the other side of it, the opposite of it.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I paint too. Painting's taught me everything about life.
I love it. See, art is an incredible thing. It absolutely, it's necessary. I think that everyone should enjoy art, whether it's painting, music, whatever the case is. Art is incredible. It can change and inspire a person's life. It's just an amazing thing.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Now, you started the Love Big community back in October of 2019. Can you tell us a bit about what that is and what the Love Big community is all about?
Yeah, sure. I love this story so much. I'll give you maybe a short version, but so John Pogachar, a friend of mine who started Love on Every Billboard a couple years ago now, when I first heard his story and what he was doing, I was just so moved by it, because he was putting love on these billboards and there was absolutely no advertising, no marketing. It was just to say love is still the answer. And so I tried to do that on my own, and it was not a success, but I didn't give up. It was kind of in the back of my mind. And last year I had started writing these love letters for a mental health group that I got to speak to, and I wasn't sure if everybody wanted to receive them. So I was kind of waiting for a friend of mine to let me know if we were aborting the mission or continuing it. And I was literally stopped at a train in my city, and there's trains that go through Regina all the time. And there was this huge billboard, and on it said, "I'm available," which meant the billboard was available.
Yeah.
But I looked at it as, what am I available to today? And
That's great. That's great to interpret it that way.
Yeah. So at that exact same time that I asked that to myself, my friend wrote me and said, abort the mission. But she said, why don't you continue writing love letters? Because it's getting close to Christmas and everybody needs extra love around Christmas.
Yeah, for sure.
And in that moment, I knew I had to bridge the two, these love letters with getting this love billboard up in our city. And it just flowed. So we started a fundraiser to raise enough money to get a billboard up. And with every $5, we would hand out a letter of love, thinking that we would have this billboard up by Christmas.
Yeah.
And that never happened. And all I kept hearing was just trust in the timing of it.
Yeah.
And so fast forward to the beginning of this year, by the end of February, we had raised enough money for the billboard. I mapped out the location. I paid for it. And it was so funny because the billboard company let me know that if it didn't go up, which was on March 30th, if it didn't go up that morning, first thing, it wouldn't have gone up because COVID hit, the pandemic came, and they had to change their regulations for billboards. They weren't allowed to have anything non-commercial go up. So it went up March 30th.
Awesome.
We raised enough money for 4 weeks, and the universe gifted us an extra 10 because of the pandemic. So that love sign
amazing
stood for 14 weeks.
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And
so now, sorry, I was just going to say,
no, it's okay.
So now with Love Big Community, we're working on putting up a permanent sign in downtown Regina so it never comes down.
That's awesome. Now, you said you were handing out letters.
Yes.
What types of things would you put in these letters?
We had kind of a generic one for people who didn't want to handwrite them themselves, but some people hand wrote them, and we had kids handwriting them. So my son hand wrote one and specifically wrote it to a homeless person, and that's just what was in his heart. But other than that, it was just messages of hope and joy and love and peace, just to let people know that somebody had thought of them. And that they were loved. So we handed out lots. We went to some hospitals. We had a local vegan restaurant here that got vandalized 3 times within a week. And we went there and handed out letters there, and also painted love on their boarded up windows at the time. It was such a neat experience. That's
so amazing. I love that mission. I love what you did. And I mean, you had the belief that it would happen. You got to believe that whatever, it wasn't the right time when you wanted it before Christmas, and it just ended up happening. But it reminds me of something my dad always said to me when I was a kid, and it's always stuck with me, that what's meant for you won't go by you. And I truly believe in that. He drilled that into my head as a kid growing up, and it's very, very true. What's meant for you won't go by you.
Yeah, and I think that experience was a big testimony for me, that to trust your intuition, and then to also let go of the outcome and the result and the timing, because I believe in God, which is the universe for me, and ultimately love and all that is. And that great mystery knows a whole lot more than we do. So, I mean, we got gifted with an extra 10 weeks. We couldn't have planned that.
No, exactly. You never would have thought of that. It's just timing, right? It's amazing.
Yes.
Now, you just solo published your first book of poetry called All She Needs Is Love. Can you tell us a bit about the book, the poetry, the inspiration behind the book, and its works within it?
Yes, absolutely. So my name, Amy, actually means beloved. And when I was going through my self-love journey, probably about 4 years in, I recognize that beloved was actually two words, be loved. And everything that I had done in my life, even out of desperation and pain and neediness, was this deep desire to be loved, to feel loved. And I didn't. And during my self-love journey, I realized that I was given the opportunity to bridge that gap and bring those two words together, and to recognize that there's this sense of beloved that always sits within my heart and always is there for me to tune into. And I write every day. I've always written since I could, and I love writing poetry. It just, like, I'll pick up a pen. Well, actually, that's not true. I type all of my poems now on my phone. My fingers go so fast, so I can't keep up with pens anymore. But it just flows out of me, and it's a form of expression. It's a way for me to unapologetically express anything that I'm coming up against, whether that's something that I need to work through or even to celebrate. And so this book represents what self-love means for me. And it's not the fuzzy kind of self-love. It's all fuzzy kind. No, it's not, because a lot of it was me carrying myself and holding space for myself through trauma releases. Trauma is something that I'm not sure if it ever really goes away, but it heals. But I still have times in my life where I know that I'm having a trauma release. I'm having some deep emotion rise to the surface, and I know what that feels like. And I know how to hold space for myself. And sometimes I write, and that's a form of me expressing, so that comes out of my body and my energy. And that's what this book is. So you can read my pain in it. You can read my love and my joy. It's all aspects.
I love it. And again, I guess it's the same thing with your painting, your art. It's a release. And I think that's what it is for artists too. It's just a release of what we've got inside us, just to get it out, whether it's trauma, pain, happiness, excitement, joy, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And not one is better than the other.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's whatever works for you, whatever gives you that release, whatever helps you get that out of you.
Yeah. And in the middle, I put some empty pages, 12 pages to be exact, with like one question at the top, just to allow people the invitation to journey a little bit deeper inside of themselves, whether they just write in point form or they scribble or even draw or journal. Because I think expression, at least for me, what I've noticed is my expression was suppressed a lot as a kid, and it wasn't safe to express myself in certain ways. So I want people to know it's safe to express yourself in the presence of just you, and to give yourself permission to do that.
Absolutely. I love that idea. And I think that that's something, the non-expressive part being raised as boys and then into men, of course, I think it's bred into us as men that it's not accepted for men to be emotional and show their emotions and have feelings like that. We're supposed to be this big, strong, this rock for everyone else, and it's not true. Men have just as much emotion as women, but we're raised that way. Boys are brought up that way, that it's not, oh, you're girly if you cry or if you have emotions. And it's so sad that type of mentality is bred into boys when it's exact the opposite. I mean, women, and again, on the flip side of that, women aren't seen for the strength that they portray and they have. Women are incredibly strong human beings, and they're not given the credit or the due for the strength that they have within. It's always seen as, well, the man's the strong one. And no, that's a bullshit narrative. Yeah. I think in a lot of cases, women are far stronger than men, far stronger. It's just, I think it's funny that dynamic that's bred into boys versus girls.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, because one of my greatest wishes for humanity is completely transformed, so that we see each other for who we are and what we are, and that we're all emotional beings, and that we're all strong in our own way. And I have a 12-year-old son. I didn't end up having a girl. And that's something I swore from the day he was born that I would never say, do. I would give him the freedom to speak, to cry, to share, to express. And I'm not always perfect, but I have been able to keep my word with that.
That's amazing. We need more of that in parents that are raising boys. But also for girls too, let them know that, I mean, my wife and I raised our girls with the thought that you can do anything you want in life, anything. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't. A man, a woman, whatever, never. You can do it. As long as you put in the work, you can do it. No dream is too big. And the fact too that don't ever depend on a man for your happiness or for anything. Like when it comes down to it, really, you only have yourself. You have to be strong enough and depend on you. So we've always tried to instill these values in our girls when we were raising them, when they were small, from when they were young. We've told them this stuff. You have to start that journey with your kids when they're young. So it's ingrained into them. It just becomes part of their DNA, part of who they are.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up into speaking life into our children. And it's so important that they have that. I know it sounds funny, but I had an audio recording that was the opposite of that I just defaulted to. So to have an audio recording programmed in our subconscious mind that only speaks life and empowerment into our kids is so what's needed.
For sure. Especially, I think now more than ever, stuff like this type of thing. I mean, for kids, instilling these values in our kids, I think has always been a mainstay, and it should be a part of your job as a parent to raise your kids up with those values and those ideals and behaviors. But I think that stuff like this is needed now more than ever.
Yeah, I agree with you, because we're all adults healing our inner child anyways.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that that's where it starts.
For sure. Now, is your work and your business focused solely on women? And if so, why only women?
No, absolutely not. You were just talking about men, and I love that because obviously a lot more women come and see me, but a lot of men are starting to show up too, which I absolutely adore and love. There is something so profound about a man who starts his inward journey and is willing to go in that direction and seeing profoundly how much his life changes. And I've seen a lot of men coming through. I never mentioned that I also paint bodies. Like I paint a human naked body as a part of a huge transformation process. But I've had quite a few men come and see me for that. That process is called True Colors, and it's so unique and so profound and has changed so many people's lives.
That's amazing to hear that you've got men coming in to see you, because normally when women have these types of businesses, coaching, whatever the case may be, their business is solely focused on women. And not that they purposely set out, some of them do purposely set out for that, but it just happens that men don't go to women for these types of things. So that's pretty incredible to hear that you have men clients coming in and working with you.
Yeah, I think love is non-gender and non-specific.
For
and
sure.
That really is the essence of my business. And if a man gets drawn to that, it's a beautiful thing. I actually encourage more men to go to women, just because it's the opposite, right? And we can learn so much from one another. For
sure. Well, I mean, and not to mention women are just naturally nurturers, right? So that, I think that also provides a factor of comfortability and security in terms that men know that it'll be a bit easier to speak to a woman about these things, these issues, or whatever the case may be, as opposed to speaking to another man about it.
Yeah. And also I find also when men come and see me that they don't have that outlet with men yet in their lives where they have, connected to themselves that way. But I also feel that that's so important. And I know a lot of men who are, starting men's groups specifically for that purpose. And it's needed on both ends. Men need men's groups like that, and men that they can trust and be vulnerable with and emotional with, and women do as well.
Absolutely. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Embodying your inner power.
I love it. To date, what would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win?
Having my son, he's definitely my biggest win. That I keep winning at that, I feel, in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
When I reach these corners of my heart that go so deep that I did not know existed, and my heart literally expands. I open up to love that I didn't know was possible until it happens. And when I feel like that, I am so inspired. I am in love with my life and myself. And I just want to share that with everybody, that it's inside everybody.
Amazing. What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
I always think of my dad when he said, "Don't eat your red Smarties first, eat them last." Oh, that's funny, even though that's not really a good piece of advice. To trust yourself.
Okay. Who would you say have been 3 of the most influential people in your life?
My mom, my dad, and my son.
Beautiful. How would you like to be remembered?
For how much I loved.
Very simple answer. I love it. What makes you smile?
I'm smiling right now. So
that's good.
Yeah, honestly, having conversations like this, really open, raw conversations, that's what makes me smile. Lots of things make me smile. But.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're enjoying the time and enjoying the conversation.
Yes, thank you.
How would you describe yourself in one word?
Deep.
Pardon me?
Deep.
Deep? Okay.
Yes.
What is your personal motto?
To make love loud, in a connotation where can I add to that? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Now, okay. Remember, to make love, that could be taken 2 different ways.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, of course.
It depends on where you are in your mind when you hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or making love loud. It's really my motto, because what I've discovered is when you go inwards and you start the self-love journey, everything gets loud.
Yes.
The intensity of everything becomes loud. And what I've learned and discovered along the way is to focus more on the loving sounds, the loving words, the loving, empowering thoughts that come forward. And it's just really, really imperative and important to me to let people know that you can actually turn that dial up. Literally, you can turn the dial of love loud. So it is an action, but I guess in the bedroom it could be one part of it. But yeah.
Awesome. I love that personal motto. That's great. Because it's dual purpose. I love it. It's so good. Yeah. What's the first thing you notice about a person?
Definitely their eyes. I feel the eyes have always been the window to the soul, and I have been able to see into people's souls since I was little.
Very cool. How do you define the word success? What does that word mean to you?
That word is ever changing for me and ever evolving. And I used to think it was what I did with my life. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm in the stage of my life where it feels like how much I love, how much I can meet myself with love, meet other people with love, meet thoughts with love, meet the world with love. Yeah, it all comes down to love for me.
Again, it's back to self-love, the foundation of everything.
Yes.
What's the first thing you think of when I say the word future?
Visions. I receive lots of visions for the future. And I think it's almost like a pathway. I think the
Mm-hmm.
future is now, but I do get glimpses of visions that are calling me that I know are something that I'm going to end up experiencing in my like tangible physical reality one day.
Very cool. Who in your life has had the biggest impact on you and why?
I'm going to say my son again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of what happened after he was born. Like it propelled me to going deep inside. I was depressed. I was in a lot of pain. I almost had cancer. I had a miscarriage. In the first 8 months he was alive and my marriage was falling apart on top of
Mm-hmm.
it. So he was just this amazing catalyst to finally not running away from me anymore.
That's beautiful. I love it. What would you say is one of the biggest risks that you've ever taken?
Leaving my ex-husband, ending my marriage. It was a huge risk. I had no idea what was going to happen, where my life would go, where his life would go, where our son's life would go. It to this day, I still think it's one of the biggest risks and courageous things that I've ever done.
Absolutely. I would have to agree with that. That's a big step. It's a big risk. It's courageous as hell. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when children are involved. I mean, it's enough when it's just you leaving on your own, but to also have to take a child with you or children with you, it's even more so, I think.
Yes,
Because your first concern is the kids.
absolutely.
And how are we going
100%.
to do it? How are we going to survive? What are we going to do? But you just, I guess it's your fight or flight instinct, and you just figure it out as you go. That's it. You have no other option. You just do it. It's
Yeah,
survival.
yeah, it's literally survival. And I think that's life, though. You figure it out as you go. Even
Mm-hmm.
parenting, you figure it out as you go. There's no real book that can tell you how to parent your child. So, yeah, everybody's journey is so unique to them. And it's still a risk. There's been so many changes that have happened from moves to wanting to have this beautiful conscious parenting partnership with my ex that I never thought I would have, and now we have it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's been a beautiful journey and the greatest risk. Yeah.
Awesome. If you came with a warning label, what would yours say?
I'm going back to the word deep, honestly. Yeah, that's definitely my warning label. Watch out because I'll propel you deep within yourself if you hang around me even for a couple hours.
I love it.
So, yeah.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
How to meet themselves with radical acceptance and love. And to me, that's the definition of holding space.
Excellent. If you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what would that song be?
Drops of Jupiter.
All right.
By
That's
Train.
Train, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. If you could sit down and have a 1 hour conversation with anyone in the world, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Jesus, even though I'm not religious, I consider him one of the greatest metaphysicists. I can't even say the word. Thank you, Brad. Yes, to this day, who was the embodiment of unconditional love. So he would definitely be the guy.
Okay. What is your most treasured possession and why?
Am I allowed to say my own heart?
Yeah, of course. You could say whatever you want.
Okay, that's the only thing that's coming to me. It's honestly my own heart. It has been the gateway to so many discoveries about life, and I truly feel we all have the answers within us. It's a cliche that's said a lot, but it's true.
Okay. If you could go back, Amy, and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
What you think other people think of you is none of your business.
I love that. That is so good
Mm-hmm.
and so true.
Yes.
Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like?
No matter what you do in life, when you do it from a place of love, you will be fully invoked with the spirit of joy, peace, bliss, and love tenfold.
Amazing. Amy, thank you so much for opening up and sharing a bit about your story and your journey here on the podcast with me, and taking the time to chat with me and just be part of this community or this movement that we're creating together as a community. It's been an absolute pleasure and incredibly inspiring speaking with you and hearing about your story. I appreciate you and what you're doing.
Thank you, Brad. I appreciate what you're doing and this community, and it's just so incredible and amazing also to come across individuals like yourself who are just wanting to change lives.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say, and I appreciate those words. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest has been Amy Dawns. She is an intuitive artist, healer, and author based in Regina, Saskatchewan. Thanks again, Amy. I hope you have an amazing afternoon.
Thank you, Brad. You too.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.